Welcome, everyone, to the Week 3 series of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gannon, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams around the leagues. If you had not had the chance, go check out our website at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram at justsayingwjs. The late afternoon 4 o'clock games kick off with the New York Jets taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Jack, what do you got for us?
I would call it a mismatch. I'm looking at this Jets team, and they are hurt. They have their receivers. They are just not in a good position, these Jets right now. Le'Veon is still out. The run game, they have Frank Gore there. Thank God for Frank Gore because I couldn't imagine, what this offense would look like. Sam Darnold made, some pretty impressive throws the last 2 weeks, especially with this offense. Having to function around a lot of pressure. Especially in week 1 against the Bills, he was getting pressure on everything. And the Colts defense presents a very scary front. They have DeForest Buckner there. He's going to be in Darnold's face all day. And he's not going to have his guy out there, Jamison Crowder, who we saw have 8 catches in the first week, and he didn't play last week. He's not going to play this week, and he's really become, over the last 2 seasons, being on the Jets, Sam Darnold's favorite target. With Rocky Sin out for the Colts, that's a bonus for these Jets wide receivers, but it's going to be a tough one for these guys. They are pretty banged up right now. Only 15 points per game through the first 2 weeks. That's second to last in the entire league. So we're really going to have to look for some improvements for the Jets, but I'm excited for this Colts team the way they've been playing. How are you feeling about last week and watching those Colts?
The Colts need to do exactly what they did to the Vikings last week. Just run the ball with Jonathan Taylor, give him the 26 carries that he's going to need, let him get over 100 yards, and pass the ball only when you need to pass the ball. I think that this is a very weak defense that the Colts can really just exploit the clock with, exploit the run game with, and they won't need to have Philip Rivers drop back and really throw the ball 20, 30 times. They're only going to really need to drop back, throw the ball 15 times, and he's just going to need to be very clean. And T.Y. Hilton, no more drop passes. You had the 2 bombs that you were wide open on, including the touchdown one. It's a new quarterback. I get it. So that's a total. We're going to let it slide. But when those bombs happen, the Jets are going to really, really regret it. The Vikings got lucky last week. The Colts are going to win this game. Just do exactly what you did last week.
Yeah.
Run the ball, waste the clock, throw when you need to.
Yeah. So, both going with the Colts in that one. Just looking like a lock for them.
Yeah.
And then we move over. We have 2 teams going through very different transitions right now. We have the Carolina Panthers going to LA to face the Chargers. The Chargers last week, they were able to go to OT with the Chiefs. They had a great game. Justin Herbert found out he was starting 5 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah.
After that unfortunate incident with Tyrod Taylor getting his lung punctured while getting painkiller injection. He's out for the season. So Justin Herbert, the 6th overall pick, is really going to, have to step up in this game. And he's going to have the opportunity because the Panthers aren't going to have Christian McCaffrey this week. He's one of the most versatile NFL players. He can basically, tear defenses up on the ground and through the air. I am expecting, from a big fantasy perspective, DJ Moore this week. I think he's going to have over 150 yards. He has a great target radius. Whenever he gets a ball thrown at him, he always has a chance of making a big play. So he's going to be my player to watch in this game. But the Chargers are very interesting. I know how big you are on that.
Yeah, I love the Chargers defense. I love the weapons that they have on offense. I thought when Herbert was coming into this situation, it was a really, really great situation to be a young quarterback with all these weapons. Hunter Henry, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and Josh Kelly has been a great bright spot also from this rookie class. And Herbert came in last week. He did great. 22 for 33, 311 yards, a 1-to-1 TD to interception ratio, and he ran one in on the ground. He played well. He looked relatively comfortable. He was going up against the Chiefs. This is not, this is a solid team. This is a Super Bowl champion. A lot comes with that. He overcame the mental part of what he needed to as his first start to get them close to winning the game. It's tough when you have such a great quarterback in Patrick Mahomes that you need to go against an OT, and Harrison Butker, who can just kick the ball from pretty much any distance that you want on an indoor field. So I'm going to go with the Chargers here over the Panthers. I think that he's going to have an easier time going against them. I also feel like the Chargers defense is really going to take away some of these weapons for Teddy Bridgewater. I know that you're high on DJ Moore this week, but I think going against Chris Harris Jr. is going to be really, really hard. And if not, he'll have to deal with Desmond King. It's going to be difficult for them to get going, and they won't have that reliance of Christian McCaffrey anymore to take that ball 20 plus times, to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield 10 plus times for them. And it's really going to make them a slightly more one-dimensional football team in terms of having to pass more now. I like Mike Davis. I think he'll be able to provide some sort of relief, but it will not be the same. I think the Chargers defense, especially Joey Bosa, is going to get to feed this week, and it's going to be fun for them. So I'm going to go with the Chargers here.
All right, yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Chargers as well. I think losing CMC is too big of a hit. I think that it just changes this offense. Last week Mike Davis was able to step in. He had 8 catches on 8 targets, but he only had 1 rush for 1 yard. So they're going to have to be able to keep that run game going. LA has a great defense,
really good.
And Keenan Allen has been playing incredible. Over the last couple of seasons for the Chargers. And last week, we got to see him get 7 catches for 96 yards compared to the first week. We only had 4 catches for 37. So we see that he likes to play better with Herbert. He has a quarterback now that's a little more versatile. He can, with Tyrod is versatile. He can run out of the pocket. Same with Herbert. Herbert provides you with that scrambling ability. I think he's going to be a problem for the Panthers this week. I'm gonna go with the Chargers, and we're staying on the West Coast. We have Arizona hosting the Detroit Lions, and this has to be a very interesting matchup. These teams, we don't really see them, really matching up a lot, but right now they're both very different teams.
Yeah. Looking at both these teams, you got to focus on the quarterback situation. I think more than anything, you got the second-year offensive rookie of the year last year, Kyler Murray, coming in. He looks great this season, and him and DeAndre Hopkins have already found that rapport that you were hoping for when you signed Hopkins, that you knew you were going to get when you signed Hopkins. He's 52 of 78 the first 2 weeks, 516 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but it's the rushing game that he is just completely decimating guys at. 21 rushing attempts, 158 yards, and 3 TDs. Kyler Murray is extending the plays. He is showing that he can beat defenses on the ground with his running capabilities, and he looks just as comfortable as he was in that Oklahoma offense as he is now with his Cardinals offense. And this team looks really good defensively. Isaiah Simmons has been playing well. Patrick Peterson has been playing well. Budda Baker's been playing really well. This team looks really, really good on all aspects of it. Christian Kirk is out this week, which is going to suck and be a little bit of a hindrance for their passing offense. But again, when you have DeAndre Hopkins, you're going to be able to still find ways to pass the ball. And let's also not forget about Larry Fitzgerald, who can still keep up with some of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited because, they are possibly going to get Kenny G back this week. Marvin Jones looks good this year. I want to see, these teams have to kind of find, especially the Lions, have to find their identity. They have this 3 running back committee. They're using Swift in the passing game, Peterson for like power runs. They're feeding these guys in the backfield. But Stafford, I really want to see him, take a little more control, have one of those big passing days that we're used to seeing from him against this Cardinals team. I think it would really show a lot of people that these Lions are coming to play this year, especially with Budda Baker, Isaiah Simmons running around, Patrick Peterson on this Cardinals defense. I really want to see Matthew Stafford, show what we've seen in the past. I want to see these deep balls. I want to see them keeping up with the Cardinals in their fast-paced offense.
Yeah, the hope is, I think, with Kenny G coming back, it's going to allow these Marvin Jones and Kenny G to just have like these really long, deep passes that we were so used to seeing last year from them. Just, absolutely decimating secondaries, being able to run right past people. But it's been tough to see that this year. Their offense seems to be a little bit off, and you're hoping with that week 1 almost win against the Bears, they were going to build on that and do something against the Packers. And for a while, it looked like they were there, and then Aaron Jones just completely said, game is over. I'm going to run all over you. It doesn't matter what you do. Yeah, I'm going to do whatever I want. And really ran away with them. And speaking of Aaron Jones, Arizona Cardinals have a great running back in Kenyon Drake. I know a lot of people aren't super big on him, especially in like the fantasy world, because he hasn't really like produced the way he had. He came out with a tweet and he was like, well, then drop me and let someone else
Yeah.
reap those rewards. And I think that this is the week where you could really kind of get him going. The Lions team gave up 168 yards to Aaron Jones last week. Let's get Kenyon
Yeah.
Drake also
Get
really
him
involved in
going.
this run game. Let's get him going. I'm going with the Cardinals. It sounds like you're gonna go with the Cardinals as
Yeah,
well.
I think I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think that they are playing well. Kyler looks great. The Lions, they need to figure it out right now. They're the 29th defense in the NFL. That's not what you expect from Matt Patricia
And
and his team.
one more thing I wanted to point out about the Cardinals and the Lions in this matchup is Desmond Trufant is listed as doubtful. So that's that was essentially cornerback one. So that would mean that DeAndre Hopkins gets Jeff Okudah. And Okudah's a great cornerback coming out of college, but DeAndre Hopkins is going to show him what it means to truly go up against the best wide receiver in the league. So if you have DeAndre Hopkins on a fantasy league, you got to start him. He should have a really, really big game in this passing offense.
Yeah, one of the best in the whole league. And, we have the next matchup. We have a
The best.
duo of teams. Oh, the best.
The best.
The best. And he knows it. He lets everybody know it.
He knows
But we
it.
have two guys who, thought they were the best last year and trying to prove it this year. First time on the field at the same time, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and now Tom Brady finally has his top two wide receivers on the field for the first time in this game. With Evans, not really, healthy. I mean, really just able to do what Jameis was in that offense last year. Throwing the big bombs, getting that, getting these yards after catch plays going. Tom Brady is used to dump off passes, slants, very quick passes, getting the ball out of his hand. He didn't get sacked last week. He was getting the ball out quick. I think that this week with Godwin there, I think that they're going to have a huge game against this Broncos team, which is dealing with some crazy injuries this year.
Seeing this Broncos team just get riddled with injuries has been super hard to watch. We're both really high on them coming into this season, especially with Drew Lockett and Cortland Sutton and Von Miller, and now they're all out for the season or injured for a few weeks. Philip Lindsay, and it's tough. And you're right, with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin now 100% healthy in week one. Mike Evans was banged up, and in week two there was no Godwin. So having them both there is going to be big. And I think what's also going to be important for this team to take advantage of against this depleted Broncos defense is the run game. Again, I know we keep talking about how important the run game is. I'm big on the run game. I'm a classic,
the ground and pound guy.
Yeah, if you're able to run the ball, you can control the clock, you can win the game. I'm a big fan of that. Leonard Fournette looked good last week. He had the one big run that was a touchdown that accounted for most of his yards. And what I want to see from Tampa Bay a little bit more is let's run the ball, let's get comfortable up against this weak defense, and then let's start to let's run a quick play action. Let's get Brady doing those like quick passes. Let's get those linebackers to jump up, and then let's hit Evans or Godwin right over on those post routes that they were so good at running, or the deep routes they were so good at running last year. I think this offense can do a lot more than what we've seen as of right now. Brady's throwing at 6.2 yards per attempt. I feel like that's way too low in a Bruce Arians offense. This is what we saw with Josh McDaniels and the Patriots. It's these quick slant passes like you're talking about. This offense is built around throwing the ball deep. You have these two deep wide receivers that are really, really good at going long, and it's time to start to bring that up. And against the secondary that's pretty weak against the Broncos, let's try to take advantage of that, especially when they're both healthy. Let's really try to get this offense going, because once that passing offense and rhythm is found, and it looked like it was kind of found last week with Mike Evans, it might be really hard to stop this Broncos offense. And it's what everyone's been talking about this offseason, and I think everyone's still kind of waiting for it to really get going.
Yeah, I mean they are going. I have to go with the Bucks in this one, just because I think that they're starting to figure it out. They added a lot of different pieces, and when you do that in the off season and you don't have the rapport, this year was very different. They didn't have training camps, and things like that to get all these guys. Fournette joined late. Evans was dealing with the injury, so I think that now they're all back on the field. They know what they want. Bruce and, Tom have had 2 games to, kind of get their chemistry right. And I think they're going to get it done this week.
I'm 100% agreeing with you. I think the Buccaneers are going to get the job done pretty easily against the Broncos. I think that the Broncos will put up a good fight in the first half. Jeff Driscoll throws the ball pretty well. He looked pretty good in relief of Drew Lock last game. But Buccaneers are definitely going to get this done. It's going to surround that offense, especially. It's just going to be lights out. Expect Mike Evans have a really, really big game and Chris Godwin have a really, really big game.
Yeah, definitely. And, our last game is a doozy. Two quarterbacks who have been playing so well this season. Dak Prescott, Dallas Cowboys, going up to Seattle. And I feel like the last couple of years, whenever Seattle and, Dallas get together, these games are shootouts. And, last week, Dak threw 450 yards, passing. He ran for 3 touchdowns, but he threw for 450 yards. He had a big day. Russ threw for 5 touchdowns to 5 different guys. These guys are playing the best football that they can, and they're proving why they are such highly respected players. They have so many weapons around them. Carson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, just playing so well for the Seahawks already. And then Dak has his three-headed monster receiver, and the big beast in the backfield, Ezekiel Elliott. This is a game I'm very, very excited for. Are these two viable MVP candidates for the rest of the season the way they've been playing?
I don't know. I don't want to say that about Dak Prescott. I definitely want to say that about Russell Wilson. If the season ended right now, I think Russell Wilson is a clear-cut MVP. I don't really think that there's much room for debate there. What was most impressive to me about that Patriots game, yes, 5 TDs is impressive, but he only threw the ball for 288 yards. Only 21 completed passes off of 28 attempts. That is what you want to see from your quarterback. I mean, your games don't get much better than that. And what I will say is the interception that happened that was a pick six. It's just a slightly bad throw, a little bit behind Olsen. He could have gotten that. It was a deflection. It wasn't even like he threw like a traditional interception. It was a very unusual one. I think that Russell Wilson is playing at a level that we just haven't seen. He came out, he said he was the best quarterback in the league, that he felt like he was the best quarterback in the league, and now he's showing it. DK Metcalf in his second year is playing lights out, is picking up right where he left off in 2019. The deep ball looks fantastic. Russell Wilson in this offense looks great, but you're right. So does Dak Prescott in his offense. These are two relatively weak defenses, and it's hard for me to say who the clear-cut winner is of this game because they had a huge comeback last week, the Cowboys.
Huge. One of the biggest ever.
Yes, that sets the tone for the season, that game right there. That was one of those ones where, you kind of feel like this is going to be the playoffs. Like this almost felt like a playoff game almost.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard. I'm going to go with Seattle because I trust Russell Wilson and what his arm has been able to do. And I just think that he's been playing so well, putting the ball exactly where it needs to be. I mean, the pass to DK Metcalf over Stephon Gilmore was right in the breadbasket. Like it just you cannot get a more perfect pass than that. And I think it's going to continue going into week 3.
I think that it's very just like I have to disagree, and I hate disagreeing, and I don't like. I mean, I don't like betting against Russell Wilson ever, but after what Dak showed me last week, a lot of my doubts, a lot of my doubts faded away in certain areas of his game. He threw the deep ball relatively well. He was able to really get his groove, and I think that this week they pull out the win. I think Zeke, continues his. He continues to feed. I think that it's going to be a very high-scoring game, though. I think I'm looking at like a 35-30 at least game,
Easily.
From these teams. And, I'm going to go with Dallas.
I like that, but last year everyone said that the Seahawks weren't going to make the playoffs. They came in. They almost won the NFC West. This year, again, everyone was not super high on the Seahawks. Russell Wilson has 9 touchdowns for the opening 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
I am no longer going to doubt Russell Wilson and what he is able to do for that team. I'm sticking with Seattle. I like what you have to say about the Cowboys, though.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for the afternoon games.
Thank everyone for listening.
Yeah, we thank everyone for watching. Check out the website, justsayingfootball.com. Follow us on Instagram, justsayingwjs. And follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe, comment. We'd love to get any input from anybody for questions. And enjoy the Sunday games. It's going to be a great bunch of games.